Hey guys, so as any Catholic Talks takes place, we all go to Panda Express to share our Catholic thoughts. I'm here with my good friend Joe Polito. We're just discussing the speaking session that just took place at Holy Spirit with Cardinal Peter Turkson, which was awesome, Joe.
It was great. It was great.
I think you said you felt like you were in a lecture.
I felt like I was in a lecture because everything he said was very precise and very clean, and I think he even mentioned that he was a part of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, and that's kind of like the teaching office of the church, like making sure everything is sent out really well, and he did a great job.
Like I was saying, this guy, if Pope Francis plays poker with people, he's one of them right there. Like, he bust out his cell phone and at the end of his talk, because he was checking time, and I was like, I bet you if Pope Francis has a number, a cell phone number, it's in there.
Yeah. No, from some of their stories, like the one I heard in the beginning when he talked about how he sat near Francis. Well, George. He sat next.
He called Pope Francis Jorge. He said his name in English, which everybody was caught off guard by that. I was like, George? Who's George?
Yeah, and then how he sat next to him in the Sistine Chapel
during the
conclave.
This guy, maybe he voted for Pope Francis. We don't know, but he took part of the conclave that elected the Pope. I mean, that's awesome. I was lucky enough. You were too, to take pictures with him beforehand. Mm-hmm. And I shook his hand, so it's basically we shook Pope Francis' hand. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I thought of the same thing. I go, that hand has touched Pope Francis and so many other people, and I'm like, I'm good.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But that was neat. Going in there, the church was about half full, and it was people, not just Catholics. That's what I loved about it. Like, your friends were there, the interfaith community, and they thanked the interfaith community for coming out and listening, and for taking part in the conference that they had in Modesto.
Yeah, I know. I was talking to some of my Muslim friends afterwards, and they really enjoyed the content of his talk because a lot of it was not just Catholic, it was just humanity.
Yeah,
it was just how we need to treat each other, how we need to treat the poor, how we need to treat the environment, and to kind of bring the gap between the rich and the poor.
Yeah. So he really spoke about the councils that he's a part of now, and how Pope Francis consolidated 4 councils into one, and this new council that Peter Turkson, the Cardinal Turkson, I talked like Peter and I are like we're on first name basis, that he's a part of, and this council's barely in its infancy. It's second month barely, because he said it officially started up as of January of this year. But he spoke a little bit about that and what the council's all about, and how after this he's going to San Francisco tomorrow and taking off to the Vatican. And you can imagine he's going to have a meeting with Pope Francis soon.
Yeah, and he's going to be talking about us.
He's going to be talking about us. I met these two guys.
Yeah. No. What was the name of the council? It was like the Council of Integral Human Development.
There you go.
And so
I took notes, but I don't have them.
Yeah, no, and the whole idea of is bringing in like the social teachings of the church, and just like what I liked about it, how before he went into the encyclical, he kind of gave us a history background of like sort of these social encyclicals all the way from Pope Leo XIII about the Industrial Revolution and how
encyclicals took part of aiding, or at least starting conversations in those really meaningful times in our country and in the world.
And even what is the Pacem et Terris, when he was
Peace on Earth.
Peace on Earth, the one with Russia and the United States, how during the Cold War, and how the Pope sent a letter to the Communist Party in Italy, and then the party took it to Russia, and then Russia, like their Khrushchev's nephew came to the Vatican, and like he was talking about how we need to not only connect on like these international levels, but on human levels, and so like that could bring down barriers too.
And I think, and I said in the video earlier that I did earlier, was that the Vatican is not an ocean away, right? You're talking about how influential in that certain situation the Vatican was. But the Vatican is so influential, and sometimes it's so easy to think that they're an ocean away. You know, they have nothing to do with my faith. And I see the reasoning behind that. You know, that they have trouble seeing the Pope as the head of the Catholic Church. But this is an example, a really great example of the Vatican coming to listen to us.
Yeah.
To the meek, to the low, to the poor. You know.
And just on the local level, and how we think of the Pope and the Vatican with the Swiss Guard, and kind of there being a buffer zone between like the Vatican and everybody else. But like you were telling me a story earlier that you met Cardinal from the Philippines, and
Cardinal
he was just
Turkson.
And like how you're just so surprised that he was just walking down the street
in downtown Philadelphia with two nuns. Just walking down like nothing, and I called out his name because I was starstruck. Cardinal Toggle, and he stops. Oh yes, I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, you're right though. I've been lucky enough to be in these events to where I see an obvious connection with Rome.
Yeah.
But some people are not that fortunate or aren't that aware of it. But I think this conference that took place in Modesto, and Cardinal coming to a Holy Spirit, the Central Valley, just to speak, is huge. It's huge.
And I really think it speaks to, like, even Cardinal Turkson today was talking about the importance of the Second Vatican Council, how the idea, how the Catholic Church is not the Vatican. It's not just, it's like the whole idea of let's bring in fresh air into the church, let's open the windows, let's connect with not only other Catholics, but other Christians. And he was talking about some of those documents of the Vatican Council, the Second Vatican Council, of how the Church is supposed to relate to the non-Christian world too, and even people who don't have a faith, and how we need to respond with generosity and care too. So,
Cardinal Turkson spoke about the councils that he's a part of, what it's going to take place, how he's going back to the Vatican and basically starting the beginning of a paperwork for a council and just getting it up on its feet. He said so himself, that this council is not even up and walking yet.
Yeah, it's on paper still.
Yeah, it's all on paper. And it's cool to think that we were able to be the beginning part of that.
Yeah, what are we in? February, and it started in January. So to have that, what is he called, the prefect, or the main guy at the head of the council, who's coming over to kind of...
He told a story. He's like, this is the first time I'm telling the story about this council in a parish. So I was like, oh wow. Thank you.
No, and that's the thing we were kind of talking about. He was very academic, but at the same time very down to earth, and so it was kind of little heady sometimes, but he had to use the correct language to convey those topics.
Like he's not cardinal for no reason. Like, he knows his stuff.
Yeah,
he knows his stuff.
Oh yeah,
he's played poker with Pope Francis for an obvious reason. You know.
Oh yeah.
Pope Francis looks to him to complete his tasks, to really be that.
And I like... No, sorry, I interrupted.
His right-hand man to do stuff.
Well, I like how he said when they were talking about Laudato Si, where Pope Francis would kind of connect with him about writing the draft.
Oh, yeah. That was a cool story.
Yeah, how the idea where Pope Francis didn't want to influence their ideas by saying, this is what I want, and you work around that. He goes, no, let me know what you want.
Continue writing?
Yeah, like, you bring your ideas, and then... and I'll bring mine, and we'll kind of integrate them, because if I initially influence my ideas on yours, then it's not really going to be your idea either. And so I love how he was sharing these personal stories.
Collaboration more than anything.
Collaboration, but these personal stories where it's kind of like you just, hey, I went to Subway yesterday and I ran into my friend. It's like, I was having breakfast with Pope Francis.
I went to that McDonald's that's around the Vatican.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that yet?
No.
There's McDonald's is renting from the Vatican a building that's outside of the Vatican. It's in Rome, but it's owned by the Vatican, and McDonald's is renting from them.
Really?
There's a huge fiasco about that. But yeah, I was watching this news report on it, and there's like nuns going in there and cardinals and priests just around the corner. Mixed feelings about that, but it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
But so we talked about the council. Then he gave us the 7 C's. He called it 7 characteristics.
Do you remember? I don't remember them all.
I don't remember them all. I wrote them down. Collegiality was one of them. Care, conversion, contemplation. Oh wait, you said care.
Contemplation. The other one was,
contemplate. Oh dang it.
We got contemplation. This is live, everybody. You know. We'll have to bring those notes out for the next one.
I did take my notes, but I don't have them. But it was great, and he was just so Cardinal just was so relaxed, and like obviously he knew what he was talking about. But to me, it felt like he was there to make us understand. And obviously he's done this plenty of times, and it came across that way. I can say tonight that I can speak about Laudisi, Pope Francis's encyclical, and you can find that online if you haven't read it. He referred to it a lot, obviously, but it's a good read. Have I finished it? No.
Yeah.
Will I? Yes, hopefully. At least to chapter 10, because Cardinal was talking about chapter 10 a lot.
Yeah. I think one of them also was conversation. We have to have a conversation. So we'll find that last one. We'll bring it to you soon.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, the 6 out of 7, that's not too bad. We just got the lecture right now. So.
But it was great, and there were multiple bishops there, right? He said.
I believe so.
He addressed them.
I like how he said he called them Lord Bishops.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was in the
Lord Bishops.
I felt like I was in
clergy.
Yeah, the Middle Ages or something. It was kind of cool.
They do address them to each other by their appropriate titles.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Your Eminence to the cardinals. I guess it's the right way to address them. I call him Peter.
Yeah.
No, it was great. It was great. A historical evening in the Diocese of Fresno, would you say?
Oh yeah, to have Cardinal Peter Turkson, and I was doing some research on him a little before, and according to Wikipedia, we can always trust Wikipedia. Yeah, we always trust Wikipedia. He speaks 6 languages, and he could read and write, and also knows Latin and Greek. So I mean.
And he's from Ghana. And he's traveled all over the place.
Yeah, and I think
he said he just came in from Bogota before the conference from Colombia.
Wow. Yeah, it just seems like he was all over the place. I mean, geographically, and he's just, a gift to the church. And the idea that he came to Fresno, California, and I heard when I was leaving, there was somebody there. She's a pastor at another church, and she invited him tomorrow morning to go speak at her church, and I think it's a Baptist church, I'm not sure. And he said he was going to do it, but he goes... He's
leaving.
No, he is. That's why he said he would have done it if he had one more day. And so that just shows, the interfaith,
the willingness to be open.
Yeah, the interfaith commitment that he goes... Someone invited him...
To spread the message.
Yeah.
It's not, just Catholics only, sorry.
No,
it's...
And that's the whole thing.
Anybody who wants to listen.
That, and then it's the whole message of Laudato Si, because it's not just Catholics who are living on earth. It's for everybody.
He covered that in conversion, right?
Conversion.
He talked about that conversion has to happen through awareness, education.
Yeah.
He's talking about that, and how it's not just Catholics, or not just one nation. It's a global issue.
Yeah.
He hit up details on all this stuff. It was great. I was taking notes, and I had to move on pretty quickly because he was just dropping knowledge left and right.
Oh yeah.
And you hear like the gas or the that was like 5 instances where I was like, oh yeah, that's a good one.
And I was surrounded with the interfaith, sitting by the interfaith, a lot of my friends in the interfaith community, and I saw a lot of those sides too, like, oh wow. And so it just shows that he was connecting to the human person, and people can identify with these human values. So.
I think I go this weekend to Religious Ed Congress, and one of my favorite speakers is John Allen Jr. Shout out to John Allen Jr. if you ever watch this, because he's just so full of knowledge. I'm thinking like, oh, I bet he wish he could have been there tonight.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing he would love to be a part of. So hopefully if I get a chance to talk to him, kind of not rub it in his face, but be like, hey, guess what I did? I'm sure he's done it plenty of times.
Yeah, he probably has coffee with him.
Yeah, he's like, his number? Yeah, I play poker with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really cool, though, but I look forward to this weekend because, this conference is huge. I'm sure that's going to be brought up this weekend.
Oh, yeah. And, I was grateful I was able to be there, and, shout out to our diocese for kind of hosting him. For
hosting him and hosting the conference that took place.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that. I know KNXT has some things on their website for what took place over the conference, so look for that.
Cool.
But I'm super excited. I'm ignited.
Yeah.
And inspired by the Holy Spirit.
Oh yeah.
To take care and not litter.
Yeah, I like how he said what was it? The title, our common home, like care for the
common home.
Care for our common home and
for our common home,
yeah, no, and it's
the little things he was saying. It's the little things that count. Mm-hmm. We're in charge to take care of our local homes. Mm-hmm. We're in our communities.
It's like almost as if everybody has their own little spheres of influence, and so as long as we're kind of taking care of that sphere of influence and everybody's doing their part, I mean, it's just going to be kind of flourishing.
Yeah, and that takes place by awareness, by care,
and education,
by conversion, like you said. Yeah,
and then and I also remember
to be an ecological citizen, right?
Oh yeah,
ecological citizenship.
Wasn't that one of the C's?
Citizenship.
Yeah, that was it. There it is. There it is. Citizenship.
Got it.
And no, he even used the word motivation. It's like, and we have to motivate because you can say. Because he liked the word stewardship, but then he was also trying to think stewardship is sometimes more of a duty, an obligation. Yeah. I'm a steward of this. I have to take care of it. And he goes, no, he wants you to have a passion for it. He wants you to have authentic care, that you're motivated to do these things rather than it being a duty. So
you don't want to force anybody. I do it because I have to.
Yeah, because then after a while, you kill the spirit. The spirit's gone.
One thing that stood out to me was he was saying about care, not just to care for the world, for the earth, because to take advantage of it. Care for it because of what it can give you, but care for it because it is God. It reminds us of a God. It speaks of God's goodness.
Yeah.
To care for it on a much more cariñoso, much more caring way than just like I care for my house because it gives me shelter.
Yeah.
But care for it because it reminds me of God.
Yeah.
Nature reminds us of God. It represents God.
Yeah. No, and he was kind of using that type of language, like the divine creation, or how like there's a divine creation and there's also divine order of how human beings need to interact with each other, and then when we kind of break that order, then that's when kind of things start to break in society. Yeah.
It was great. A great evening. Hopefully I was able to share some of the stuff with you earlier, and thank you, Joe.
Hey, thanks for having me.
For letting me film
Thanks for inviting me.
All right. I'll catch you guys later. See ya.
See ya.